So, we've all been there. You sit down to do some drawing, excited to draw Galaxy Moonstar Tidal Frost, your Nightwing, Seawing, Icewing, Princess, Animus, Mind-Reading, Frost-Breathing, Future-Telling, Super Normal OC. But then, disaster strikes. What is that? Why does her neck look like that? And why did this take 45 minutes? Because now you're tired and you want to lay on the couch and eat popcorn and cry. If you've ever had trouble sketching, trouble picking your brush, your line size, deciding how much time to spend, what canvas size to use, or simply how to rough out a pose, I'm here today. I'm here for you. I'm here for Galaxy Moonstar Tidal Frost. I'm here to show you how to sketch well. Before you actually put pen to paper, or put stylus to drawing pad, you need to pick a few things, namely your brush and your canvas. Now, I work in Krita, which is a free digital art program on a Windows PC with a Star G640S XP Pen tablet. You can use elements of this tutorial if you're drawing traditionally, but certain steps will not translate, so don't come at me, guys. I am a digital artist. This is what you signed up for. Anyways, different programs and tools will have their own variations on brushes and whatnot, but I'm going to go over what I use anyway. In Krita, I tend to just open a 2000 by 2000 pixel canvas so that I have plenty of space. My actual sketch usually ends up being somewhere in the range of about 500 by 500 pixels-ish. I recommend opening a larger canvas just so that you have lots of space and don't have to worry about the edges. Worry about cropping your piece once you actually have your piece. For now, just give yourself lots of room to work. Side note, from what I've seen, this is a fairly small canvas size compared to what other artists use. This is what works for me, but if, as your style develops, you prefer a larger or smaller canvas size, don't stress. It literally does not matter, especially if you're not printing anything. What matters is actually your line weight. Line weight is how thick or thin your brushes are. For sketching, I use this brush in Krita because it sort of simulates a pencil in that it's light when I press lightly and dark when I press harder. You do need pressure sensitivity for this, but by now I think almost every tablet ever has that. If you're drawing with a mouse, you're out of luck. I do sometimes use this brush for line art, although primarily it is my sketching tool. Line weight matters. Why? Well, the thinner your lines, the more room for detail. I know at least for me, when I sketch with tiny lines, I spend too much time focusing on detail and negative space when I should be focusing on overarching shapes. I prefer to sketch with thicker lines so that it doesn't distract me. Sometimes I'll do a rough sketch with a very small canvas size and large lines, then size it up and do a detailed sketch over it. Working like this helps me stop from worrying about details and start worrying about the overarching shape of my design. This is why I said your canvas size ultimately doesn't matter, because what matters is the line weight of your sketch. If I use my sketch brush on a 400 pixel canvas, it gives me the same line art weight as it would a brush on a 1500 pixel canvas. So, pick your sketch brush, set a canvas size that gives you plenty of room, and go from there. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, it's time to actually get started. That is, with your drawing. Wait, what are you drawing? I don't want to go into too much detail on posing in this video because this is a video about sketching, but I will touch on it briefly. Picking your pose, especially if you're a beginner, can be super overwhelming. I recommend two things: art references and actual references. Either way, trust me, you're not pulling this out of the ether. You need something to look at. Dragons are a little tricky because you can't just Google a picture of something that doesn't technically exist. However, you do have options. You can look at TV shows or movies with dragons, or other artists who you admire. You need to consume what you create, so spend some time studying how other people have posed dragons, or even other quadrupedal forms like horses or cats, and this can help you decide how to form your own poses. You're going to be developing a mental catalog, a mental library, if you will, of different pose options for dragons the more of this type of art you look at. Some TV shows and movies have super great dragon designs that can actually help you figure out their anatomy. Another option is to use actual real-life animals to help find natural poses. I'm fond of using cats, but horses work in some action poses, and dogs too. You have to stretch your imagination a bit more, but it's a great way to use some natural movement to base your drawing off of. Okay, so take a moment and figure out what you want to draw. Is your dragon in flight, standing still for a reference sheet, sitting, curling, twisting? And now I want you to take a big brush. I like to use one that's sort of opaque or see-through. I usually set it to about 20% opacity. And I want you to practice roughing out the big shapes of this drawing. This is not your sketching brush that you use for details in a minute. Right now, I want you to focus on shapes. For instance, let's take this picture of a horse. Beautiful, lovely horse. I'm going to use it to make a drawing, but first, I need to pin down the big shapes and movements. So we'll start with the shape of a head, which is a pair of circles or maybe a circle and a square. From there, we're working down with big shapes. There's a kind of a curving rectangle for the neck. You have a big circle for the chest. Rectangles are just lines for the legs. Another circle for the back hips, more lines for the back legs, etc., etc. I'm not looking for you to tell me exactly like, oh, this is a trapezoid. Oh, this is a triangle. Like, no, I'm looking for you to rough out the overarching idea of the drawing. I want to see the idea of movement that is happening here. It doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be perfect. We are trying to spend just a little bit of time putting the idea of motion, of a pose, of something existing right here on the page with some shapes that sort of give us an idea of where things are. Now, this is nowhere near a usable sketch. You can't just go over this and go straight to line art. But it does show the movement I want to capture, and it should have taken me about a minute. Now, let's pause the tutorial and try an exercise. I want you to take these 5 pictures of dragons that I've drawn and do a quick shape sketch for each. Set a timer, spend only 60 seconds roughing out those shapes. And use a big brush so that you're not fussing about the details. If you're in Krita, this is what I prefer to use. This may seem like a waste of time, but you clicked on this tutorial thinking that I could help you, and this is what I want you to do. Okay, got that? Now go through and do it a second time. What? But I just did that! Well, yeah, but repetition is the mother of learning, and I'm in charge right now. Okay, but really, doing this twice should show you massive improvement just over 5 minutes of sketching. You are taking what you just learned, roughing those shapes and improving it. Like, as you draw it, you learn, oh, this looks good, this doesn't look good, I would have done this differently. And when you go back a second time, you naturally incorporate those changes. I mean, look at the difference in my 2 rough sketches, and I literally drew the images I'm referencing. So now we've practiced the shapes a little. Now go back to your drawing and the pose that you want to do. Rough that shape out and then do it a second time. I know this seems like a waste of time, but remember, it's 60 seconds. Huge shapes. This is not a big deal, I promise. And if you're a beginner, this is a fast, easy way to learn the shapes that build up a dragon. The reasons I can draw hundreds of dragons, often without needing reference these days for most poses, is because I've spent almost a decade learning their shapes. I'm just trying to pass that down to you guys. If you really want to focus on learning the shapes that build up a dragon, I would recommend doing this exercise 4, maybe 5 times over multiple different poses. You would not believe how stunning the improvement you will see over 30 minutes of sketching work. Okay, so we've got a rough shape. We've used a large, partially opaque brush to put down the idea of our drawing. But it's still not a drawing yet. We need details. Well, luckily for you, sketching out your details is in fact the next step. And finally, it's time to scoop up that sketching brush and actually put down your dragon. Now, there's not really a right or a wrong way to go about this, though I do have some tips and notes on what works with me. For one, your sketch is going to be messy. I know it's hard sometimes to accept that, but as long as you can tell what's going on, you're good. And wasting time making your sketch clean doesn't do anything for your final piece. You're going to end up erasing it. As long as you can understand what's happening, the sketch is doing its job. I promise. Now, I generally start with the head and neck, then work my way down to the chest, front legs, and wings. From there, I'll do the back legs, hips, and tail. I would recommend starting, again, with the most basic shapes. Get down the head, neck, underbelly, limbs, wings, etc. before you worry about things like spines and scales and eyes. If you go through all of the trouble of drawing out the spines and scales and markings on a dragon's neck, only to realize it looks wonky, you're gonna be really upset when you have to erase it. And you're gonna have to erase it. So, we're moving up to it one step at a time. We're going to get those main shapes down, make sure everything looks good, and then put in the work of doing your details. And this isn't going to match your rough, blocky first sketch exactly. That sketch is more just to give you an idea of where things are than to be an exact placement. I can't overstate this enough. Please be super chill about the sketching phase. It's gonna be messy. You're gonna erase stuff. Better now than later with line art, because line art takes 10 times as long as a sketch does. And I know the title of this video is How to Sketch Fast, but I am going to take a minute to be a bit of a hypocrite and say, don't be afraid to spend more time on a sketch. Now, don't waste time. You don't need to sketch out every detail and make it perfect. Again, that's what line art is literally for. But I've also discovered that to a certain extent, the amount of effort that you put into your sketch translates to the final product, usually in the anatomy and pose respect, not the detail respect. So you really want to focus on those shapes and the overall silhouette and, again, the movement of your drawing more than each individual scale and horn. I redraw scale details, ears, spines, webbing, ruffs, all kinds of things, scars, decorations, whatever. I redraw those over and over and over again in line art because tiny changes in those small areas make big differences for the final line art of the piece. Often in the sketch, I don't even bother to draw those details. I save them for the line art because in the end, I don't ever copy the sketch lines exactly with the line art for those tiny details. It's a waste of my time to put that down when I'm just going to do line art a little bit differently anyways. I sketch big things like wings, legs, tails, underbelly, horns, etc. It'd be a huge waste of my time to draw every scale and spine during my sketch if I don't need to. But I do spend more time on things like limb placement, head angle, stuff like that. Larger movement and pose stuff is what the sketch phase is for. If you have to draw it 4 times, well, hey, at least you didn't have to do the line art 4 times. That's what the sketch is for, I promise. It's for you to work out those kinks with the low effort of a sketch instead of the high effort of line art. So, in truth, this isn't just a tutorial about sketching quickly, it's about sketching efficiently and knowing where and when to put in more or less time. I would like to add again, I've been drawing dragons for almost a decade at this point. I've literally drawn over 1,000 dragons. I skip a lot of small steps with the routine stuff I do because I've done them over and over and over and over again. And I'm assuming most of you guys probably haven't drawn hundreds of dragons if you're watching this, and that's okay. It just means you're going to need to put in a little more back and forth with your sketches than I would, more than you'll probably notice in a lot of my speed paint videos. In conclusion, your sketch should begin with large, overarching, basic shapes. Don't spend too long on this. You are just trying to work out where everything is going. The amount of time you spend on a sketch should vary according to the piece. For drawings like this Scarlet poster or the Blister Blaze and Burn poster, I spent as long on the sketch as I did on the line art itself. By the way, this goes double if there's accessories like cloth or jewelry involved. However, for something like a ref sheet, a sketch takes me around 8 minutes very consistently. And it'll be different for you, but the actual time itself doesn't matter. What matters is drawing efficiently. My efficient is 8 minutes. That's how long it takes me to make a good workable sketch. Yours might be 5. Yours might be 12. It doesn't matter how much time it is, as long as you're spending your time and your energy in the right places. And again, let your sketch be messy. Let it be ugly. Nobody is going to see it in the final piece. It literally only matters as a guide for your line art. Don't waste time making something that you're ultimately going to erase pretty. And, as always, there's no substitute for good old-fashioned practice. Friendly reminder that this is where I started, not where I am today. Repetition is the mother of learning. And there you have it. Those are my tips on sketching efficiently, such as they are. If you found this helpful, I have other tutorials up as well, and my patrons get to pick what I do next, so you can check out that link in the description too. I also have links to my store and DeviantArt if you want to buy cool merch or just see more art to find references. I hope this helped. Thanks for watching, and y'all have a blessed day.